What's going on, guys, and welcome back. Well, the dream is over. We did not win the 5K. We actually started out pretty hot. We won our first round against Blurple. We won 2-0. Just going to do a quick rundown of matchups. It's a pretty favorable matchup, I'm not going to lie. I wasn't too worried about it, and this deck was a big reason I didn't play Blurple. I thought there'd be a lot more purple steel at the event. There actually was not. It was almost entirely Popsicle and Blue Steel, it felt like, which I was pretty comfortable with both of those matchups. Unfortunately, we'll talk about what happened when we played against them. Round 2, then, we had a Purple Steel mirror match. He was playing a much more aggressive version. It came right down to the wire game 3, though, but we were able to sneak out the win. I think once we went back and forth a little bit, I was able to establish a better board presence and just keep it better that way. Then round 3 was our first loss. We went against a Blue Steel item deck. He ended up finishing in the top 8, so he lost in his top 8 matchup. Game 1, he kind of ran us out of the water. Game 2, I just opened the nuts and just ran it through on him. Game 3, it was very, very back and forth. A lot was happening, and I missed him double inking on a turn. I don't know if it was intentional or not. I'm going to say no. I like to always give people the benefit of the doubt, but he made a comment that I didn't ink for turn yet, and he put a Fishbone Quill into his inkwell, and then shortly after he played a Popsicle, drew a card, did something else, and then he flipped a Great Stone Dragon upside down into his inkwell too, which he clearly must have inked early in the turn, and there's just so much going on I missed it. And then following turn, he had exactly enough lore or enough ink to be able to do what he needed and then tap his dime with his remaining 2. So unfortunately, that extra ink did come up to matter quite a bit, and we would have had game on board the following turn. So just learn from mistakes, always pay attention. One of my friends actually had great advice that the North American Championship winner, Ed, said, on your turn, just put your cards down. Watch your opponent, pay attention. Your cards do not change. You don't need to run through your strategy on your turn. So I'm chalking this up to me not focusing and paying attention enough. It was my mistake why I lost this game, and I'm going to learn and grow from it as a player. Then the following round, we went against Popsicle, and again, I did lose this one as well. He went on to top 4, where he lost to, I believe it was the runner-up of the event, he lost to in top 4. Actually, the same guy knocked out both of my opponents in top 8 and then top 4, so he ran through on them. But the first 2 games were pretty close. We were able to get one of them, and game 3 came down to I had Queen plus Genie on board. I was at 15 lore, and I had Queen and Genie on board, so I had enough for game, and he was top decking. He had 1 card in hand, and he drew his card for turn, inked the card that was already in his hand, used Sapphire Coil to reduce my Queen down to 2 strength, and he had top decked a big Sisu and was able to then play it, getting rid of my board. I came back with double Tinkerbell plus Smee on my following turn, or not Smee, it had to be someone with 2 strength. It was, I don't know, it was someone, but either way, I know it was double Tinkerbell plus 1 other card I came back with, and he pulled another Sisu off the top. So unfortunately, we lost there. And again, I'm not going to get worked up over losing to unfortunate luck there, because there was a game also where I think it was actually the Purple Steel mirror match where I pulled Goat off the top of the deck for a win. So that door swings both ways. It's so easy to say I got luck sacked, I lost because of that. But I can just as easily say I only won round 2 because that door swung in my favor. So again, I'm not going to... Unfortunate, yes, but that's the name of the game. That's what happens. And as players, that's what we need to understand and realize to be able to grow and to continue being better and better. Learning from our experiences. Is there a different play I did that I could do it differently? Stuff like that. It's easy to get hung up on the final couple turns of a game and say what should have happened. But like I said, I could have just as easily lost my round 2 match if that door didn't swing in my favor as opposed to against me. So we're not going to hold up on it too much. But either way, my 2 losses then going top 4 and top 8 makes it kind of sit a little bit better too. Like, at least I lost 2 players that really proved themselves, and this event was stacked. There's 118 players was the final count. Ding Kang Fam did not make top 16. Zan Saeed, Kurt Spice, none of those guys made top 16. There were so many good players. I think there was 15 Mickey winners, Golden Mickey winners in attendance, and a lot of them did not top. A lot of them finished worse than I did even, and like, that just goes to show how competitive the game truly is becoming, and it's really, I think, a good thing for it. I did then win against a Blue Steel aggro deck in my round 5 matchup. I just controlled the board better, kind of like the mirror match, and overall I was just as fast, but I controlled the board state a little bit better. And then my final one was Amber Steel aggro. Shout out to Joshua. Like, I didn't have the greatest of cards in my favor. Game 1, I was in control, and then I went to draw Broom Broom, Diablo, Olaf, and I just completely lost it and fell behind. But he truly played, I'd argue he played flawlessly. I don't think he made a mistake in either game when he 2-0'd me. Game 2, again, I missed ink early, and he could tell that I just didn't have the gas to put it on board, and he put it all out there, and like I said, he played flawlessly, so that's what happens sometimes. So he was able to get it. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to make it into top 16, but he still did perform pretty well and had a winning record at the event, so shout-outs to Joshua for that. Also, shout-outs to Adam, and I apologize for the other names I don't remember. I know Adam because we were talking about Jafar Wheel, and I'll work on an uploaded deck list on that too. But it was really cool. I actually had 6 people come up to me and say they love the channel, they love the content, and that was something I was really kind of excited for. I wasn't like overwhelmingly putting myself out there, but anyone who came up to me, it was really cool to have people notice me, because as far as I'm concerned, I'm just like everyone else. I'm not anything special. So that was really cool to be able to meet and talk to some people who follow the channel. Without further ado, that's pretty much the recap. We had a nasty ice storm, and actually a lot of people don't have power now where I'm at. Luckily I do, so I can record this video. So I dropped after round 6 because I wasn't going to be able to top even after round 7, and I headed home, and I got home almost ahead of the storm. I drove through a little bit of it, but we were able to beat most of the bad weather, so if I couldn't top, that was my plan. I wanted to beat the weather if possible. So we're going to go over the deck list, kind of talk about the choices, and also some changes, because there is some changes that I would like to do. Certain cards underperformed, certain things just didn't go how I would have liked it. 1-drops, Diablo, Broom, and Olaf. I wasn't going to play the Olaf. I initially had it in, then I took it out, and then talking with Steven, shoutouts, in Discord, it's just, the 3 willpower is so big. I have enough consistency cards, I felt like, before the event. My opinion on that did change during the event a little bit, but being able to have that 3 willpower character that you get like a Broom or Olaf down, you slap a crab onto it. Now it has 4 strength. It's such a good tempo swing power play, especially on the draw. I was on the draw 4 of my 6 matchups. So that was just something I really, really wanted to be able to do, especially to handle like daisies, Alice Sailors, stuff like that. Diablo, obviously, too, is a nice little crab target because you get the draw when you crash it into something. Looking back, it didn't matter too much with Olaf. I think I'd go back to 8 1-drops. Every time I play more than 8, I swear I just see them too often, and I'd rather miss my 1-drop than get loaded up on them late game, which seems to happen to me quite a bit. So overall, I don't regret it, but moving forward, I would change the Olaf and just take him out of the deck. 4 Snakes, 3 Calhouns, 4 Smees. No Doc. I thought the deck had enough draw power without Doc, and every time I play it, I see it either too early or in multiples, just at the worst time. And Doc never seems to work out for me, so I opted not to play it, and I did not regret it one bit. I didn't miss it at all. I didn't feel like I need Doc. Never once did that cross my mind. Never once did I feel that I needed Doc. So I personally, I wouldn't put Doc back in moving forward. Had talked to someone on the stream on YouTube, and they're like, oh, the deck lives and dies by Doc. If you see it, you have a chance. If you don't, you lose. And I completely disagree, because I was doing pretty well with the deck, not playing Doc at all. I think Doc's overrated. That's my opinion. That's one of my many hot takes. Library, trash card. Again, another hot take I have, but still never said, man, I wish I had Library. However, one of the changes for the deck, guys, if I had Castle, I think those grindy games for Blue Steel and Popsicle, I think I would have snuck out the wins had I had a Castle that I could slap down and divert their attention to. I have to deal with that. I think that really would have made the difference. So once again, I think Castle can win you games, whereas Library, I truly don't think it does. 3 Giant Cobras, 4 Madam Mim Foxes, 3 Merlin Crabs, 4 Tinkerbells, the spice, the carrier of the deck. She put in so much work. 2 Benja and 2 Pete in our 3-drop spot. Moving forward, I would take and put a 4th Cobra in. Cobra is pretty solid overall. A few times getting down in the nitty gritty, it's like, man, if I could see a Cobra, I'd be sitting really good. So I would put a 4th Cobra in, because it is inkable at the end of the day. Tinkerbell is insane, absolutely insane, 100%, 100% MVP of my day. Tinkerbell was so good. Put down so much pressure on my opponent. They're trying to deal with genies, and when you put queen down, she forces an immediate answer. Tinkerbell too, then they could not control my evasive threats. They could not deal with enough of them. They didn't have enough answers that Tinkerbell 100% stays in the deck. Absolutely. She hard carried. She was so good. And on the opposite side of that, Benja was terrible. The 3 times I used it against the item decks, absolutely did nothing. They just recur it back. They don't care about that one item. It was he was bad. I should have thought about, like, if they can afford to just bell pop their item and continue playing on like normal, why would they care if I Benja pop their item? They're just going to get it back anyway. Benja absolutely should come out of the deck. Don't play Benja, please. Don't make the same mistake I did. He's really truly the only regret I had about the deck. I would, moving forward, I had 10 unequables, so I don't mind going to 12. For changing the deck, I'd pull him out, and I want to put 2 Wreck-It Ralphs in, because at least that way, that form of item location removal at least is a game winner. It's not a pop 1, possibly quest for 2. It's a card that comes down. If they answer it, they answer it. You force them to have the answer, and if they don't have the answer, 5 lore, you win the game most likely. So I 100% want to play Wreck-It Ralph instead. Outside of Ralph, the entire curve of the deck is 4 cost or less, so that getting that 6 isn't terrible. 12 unequables won't be terrible. I'll go ahead at the end of this. I don't have it ready, but when I edit the video, I'll throw the updated version of the deck list, just an image at the end of the video, so you guys can see that too. But yeah, I think Wreck-It Ralph absolutely is the route I'm going to go for that, just as a game closer. Put him on a, you better have the answer or I win. Pete's, I felt like 2 was plenty. I'm pretty aggressive, and I don't think, like, B-Prep wasn't really something I was super scared of for the event. Even Popsicle decks, like, play usually 2 of them, so I mean, you just don't over hard commit at that point, and like, I don't know. I felt like 2 Pete was plenty. Crabs, absolutely a must at 3 or 4. I think that's pretty much it with my 3 drops, though. So far, the only things I'd do, I'd take 2 Olaf out, 2 Benjas out. I'd put in Giant Cobra to 4 and 3 Queen's Castle. That's the changes I'm at where we're at so far. I know I mentioned the 2 Wreck-It Ralphs. We'll get to that in a little bit. 4 Genie, 4 Rabbit, 3 Rabbit, and 4 Goats with 2 Queens. That's my 4-drop lineup. I felt like Genie was super strong. I felt like it's hard to deal with for certain decks. And if they do deal with it, I also have Tinkerbell. And there's just too much going on, and that proved to be true. Absolutely loved it. I don't regret it one bit at all. Goat, Rabbit, I really like that lineup. Queen, I think I'd put a 3rd Queen in just to see her a little bit more. I got her on board 5 times. All 5 times my opponent answered her right away, and all 5 times, if they didn't, I would have most likely won the game. 3 of those situations, I would have had game on board at the moment if they didn't answer her. She truly puts so much pressure onto your opponent to win the game. And the one person I thought my opponent was actually going to let me get away with it, because he's like counting it up and he's like 3, 4, 5, 6. But he had a Belle in his discard, which means she would actually get me 4, not 3, which would have put me to 20, not 19. But he did end up getting rid of her anyway, because he didn't want to put me at 19 when I got Goats and Cobras. And it was the right call. His math was slightly off, but still the right call. I think I would put a 3rd Queen in, though. It's so many of the cards in this deck force you to have an answer, or I'm going to get really far ahead. And if that's what I want to have cards that truly make high impact plays. I don't want to do just little minuscule things. I want high impact value. I want every card to do something important. Like I said, Benja underperformed pretty hard. Olaf also. Otherwise, everything here so far has a very, very strong purpose. We did run the Shift Tinkerbell lineup. I felt like, especially if I ran into Oswald items, a lot of the item decks weren't even playing Oswald. She helped, especially in the mirror match against the more aggressive version. She did help a lot, and I think that she isn't necessarily needed, though. I would take the 3 of her out for 1 Queen and the 2 Wreck-It Ralphs. I think that's where I would go with that. And yeah, mostly because I don't want so many 6-cost cards, and a lot of time if you people see the little Tinkerbell and they know you're on purple steel, like before I even shifted her, in times I didn't have the shift, they're like, oh, big Tink's coming, big Tink's coming. It's just that mindset it puts them in. So even if you don't have the big Tink, it can alter the way they're playing. Great card, really strong, obviously, especially into aggressive matchups. The splash 2 damage really strong as well. Overall, though, she was kind of mid, and I would rather keep the evasive threats on board and continue to develop my board wide as opposed to shifting. Shifting was just, it felt slow, felt a little clunky, and like I said, then she lost her evasive ability, and I think the evasiveness was actually more important, so I would go back on that. Friends on the other side, 2, just a little bit of added consistency. 3 strengths. Strength was underwhelming, but I feel like you have to have it. Versus Popsicle, I actually kept it in just for little Sisu, because I was like, if I can't get hit by the big shift Sisu, like big Sisu is what loses me this game, so that's why him pulling 2 off the top of the deck was so detrimental. But I actually saved this on game 3 because he had a little Sisu out, and I strengthed just for the 1 damage on Sisu, because I can play around the other stuff. I can play faster. I can win that way. I just had to keep that turn 5 shift big Sisu play out of his repertoire, and it worked pretty good for the most part. But by the time we're that late in the game, pulling them off the top of the deck was just too much. So overall, them are the changes that I would make. Like I said, I'll throw the image up on the screen here. But the 2 Olafs, 2 Benjas for 3 castles, 1 Cobra, then taking out the Tinks for 2 Ralph and 1 more Queen. Those are the changes that I would make to the deck moving forward. I was really debating taking Strength out and putting in like Lawrence too, but you have to have Strength. It's one of those cards that underperformed terribly, and I'm like, I want to take it out. The more I thought about it, I don't want to overreact to one singular event. You got to have some form of character damage that you can do, and for as wide as you can go with this deck, I felt like it was a good call. So overall, though, I still truly think that this deck is in a great position. I think that this deck can absolutely take it to Popsicle, take it to Blue Steel Aggro, take it to Blue Steel Items. I think it can handle the Churna Dogs deck. I think that this deck truly can do it all. It can go fast. It can play that mid game. It can close games out of nowhere. It applies so much pressure to your opponent. I think it's really in a great spot, and I'm going to continue playing it, and there's really not a whole lot more to that. Like, I just think that this deck is poised in a very, very unique spot, and I thought more people were going to be playing it. If they weren't, I might have actually stuck with Blurple. But at the end of the day, I don't regret it at all. The deck performed fantastically. There were some unfortunate things, and then just getting straight up outplayed round 6. And had I won round 6, then I would have stuck around for round 7. Had I won that, at worst case, I would have bubbled top 16. I don't know what would have happened at that point. But the deck did what it needed me to do. My opponent's decks, they just did what they needed to do a little bit better. So that's what it came down to. I think with the changes, though, I think that would push the deck over the top. If not for the weather, I would have made the 2-hour drive back. But, well, it's pretty nasty out there. And, card games aren't worth that. But we'll get them back. We'll come back. Set championships coming up. This is probably the deck we're going to roll with and just continue adjusting it. I think it's a really strong choice. I think that moving forward, if you're looking for a deck for events, I think Purple Steel is fantastic. I think it's a deck that you truly can play and do well with. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on the experience. Shout out World Class Cards. This event was so smooth. It was great. They had artist signings there. They had a videographer there. 20 Lore Pro was there streaming. Shout outs to them. They did a fantastic job all day too. But it was a crazy event. It was ran really, really well. So Chimera Hobby Shop, World Class Cards, shout out to all those guys running it. Their team wasn't that big, and they ran this 120 person event very, very smoothly. It went fantastic. So great experience. Looking forward to a lot more with them. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe, comment down below. Let me know what you thought about it as well. Take care.